Let's get right into it. What if one single announcement could just erase billions from the global economy in a flash? Well, that's not a hypothetical. That's exactly what we're digging into today. A massive, dramatic escalation in the US-China trade war that sent shockwaves through the entire financial world.
So let's set the scene. The date to remember is October 10th, 2025. And we're not talking about some slow developing crisis here. No, this was an explosion. An instant financial firestorm, all kicked off by one decision out of Washington that had immediate, and I mean immediate, global consequences.
So just how bad did things get? Well, negative doesn't even begin to cover it. We're talking about a complete, total market bloodbath. And the numbers, wow, they're just staggering.
Okay, first up, the crypto markets. A cool $200 billion in value. Just gone. Poof. Vanished in just a few hours. It really shows you, doesn't it, how everything's connected. A political tremor over here can cause a massive earthquake in a totally different market over there.
And listen, this wasn't just some isolated crypto thing. Oh no, the panic immediately jumped the fence into the big leagues, the traditional stock markets. You had the S&P 500, the tech-heavy NASDAQ, both taking their biggest nosedive in more than half a year. This was everybody running for the exits at once. A huge sell-off that hit pretty much everyone.
So this all begs the big question, right? What on earth could cause this kind of global panic? So fast, so severe. What was the trigger?
Well, the answer was a trade policy move that was just on a whole other level. Seriously, something very few people saw coming. This right here was the moment the trade war went from a low simmer to a full raging boil.
So here it is, the bombshell. President Donald Trump announced a 100% tariff on all imported Chinese goods. I mean, think about that. Not just some products, not just tech or steel, everything. A 100% tax on every single thing coming in from China. It was a move designed to completely rewrite the rules of the game. And the timeline? It was insane. The announcement drops on October 10th, and he says the tariffs, plus some new export controls from the U.S. side, are going to be effective November 1st. That's just a few weeks. It gave businesses and the markets basically zero time to prepare for this. So you got to ask, why? Why do something so extreme? Well, the official line from the White House pointed the finger directly back at China. President Trump basically said, hey, this isn't us starting something. This is us responding to what he called an extraordinarily aggressive move coming from Beijing.
Okay, so what was this aggressive move from China? To really get why the U.S. did what it did, we have to rewind a little bit and look at what Beijing did first, something Washington saw as a major economic attack.
And here's where you see that classic tit-for-tat escalation. First, China announced these huge export controls on pretty much all of its manufactured goods. Think of it like they put a Mother May I sticker on everything they sell. So the U.S. responds with that massive 100% tariff, and they add their own export controls on what they called critical software.
And the language being thrown around? It was intense. The White House wasn't just calling this a bad business move. No, they were framing it as something way more serious. They called it an extremely hostile letter and even a moral disgrace when it comes to international trade.
So what exactly was China restricting? Well, take a look. We're talking about critical rare earth minerals, the stuff that's in literally everything, from your phone to high-tech military gear. And on top of that, you've got materials that are absolutely essential for the EV industry, like lithium batteries and graphite. This was no random list. This was a calculated, surgical strike aimed right at the weak spots in the global supply chain.
Okay, so now we've got the context, right? We see China's move, we see the U.S. countermove. Let's go back to that market crash and really dig into why everyone freaked out so badly.
The damage was just everywhere. The Dow dropped 900 points. Big Chinese tech companies that trade on U.S. markets, like Alibaba and JD.com, they got crushed. And crypto? It took another huge hit. Bitcoin down 10%, Ethereum down a massive 15%. It's like from the oldest parts of the market to the brand new shiny stuff, nowhere was safe.
At the end of the day, what you saw was something traders call a risk-off moment. In plain English, everybody panicked. Investors just started selling. Well, everything. If it seemed risky, it was gone. The real fear, the big one, was that this was the start of a full-blown trade war that could completely break the global supply chains for tech and manufacturing. The very things our whole modern economy runs on. So, This one crazy day of chaos really makes you wonder, right? It raises a much bigger question. Was this whole thing just a flash in the pan, a temporary freakout? Or was October 10th, 2025, the day everything changed for good?
And that's really the question we're left with. Was this just a really, really bad day for the markets? A blip on the radar? Or were we watching the first shots of a much larger conflict? A conflict that could splinter the global economy and completely reshape how countries trade with each other for years, maybe even decades to come.